Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, we have so much to catch up on. But first of all, I want to say happy 1 year of Inspired Lady. Thank you so much for making this past year an absolute dream. I am obsessed with you and so grateful for you. And getting to go on this journey with you has just been the most fun experience ever. So, happy 1 year. I honestly just want to jump into this episode. We have lots to talk about as far as what we're doing to celebrate 1 year at Inspired Lady, as well as officially being in the new house with the new move, all of the things. And I'm just really, really excited about this conversation too about how to change your life in a year, okay? So let's go ahead and just go right into this episode. Literally a year, guys. What the heck? What the heck? How has it been a year? I'm just so grateful and thankful for this. And honestly, you always just like assume it might be a failure. Just truthfully, you assume that it's not going to be something that you guys would want to listen to or, hang out with me every single week. But just the consistency and the way that you guys have shown up for me makes me want to show up for you guys. So I want to say thank you a million times over. We have lots of fun things, but first things first, as we do every episode, what we're drinking. So I've got bad news. I made a lavender iced matcha to celebrate, right? And it was so good. I guzzled the whole thing in literally like 30 seconds. So right now, I guess it's just water, but I did make a celebratory drink to just kind of be with the mood. But I would love to know what you guys are drinking. I think there's like this feature now on Spotify where you guys can like type out answers. So if you're on Spotify or on YouTube or anything like that, go ahead and type out the answers. Let me see. Because I wanna have fun with this and get inspired from each other on what we should be drinking. Okay. So let's talk about the year of Inspired Lady really, really fast. Okay, we have some exciting things happening this week to celebrate that. So, obviously, just a few days ago, we announced the launch of the website. The website has been my baby for the past couple of weeks, going on months, and it's been really fun to try to put together and figure out what resources should go on there, and just kind of the overall feel. And I'm really proud of it. You know what I mean? It's good. So if you haven't checked out the website yet, be sure to do that. We also on there have a little newsletter thing now. This is really sweet for me because I hate getting emails that like honestly waste my time. And this will not waste your time. Trust me, I will be so consistent in being just the best resource. You're only going to get one email from me a month, literally one, to keep everything easy. And it's going to be a recap of podcast episodes that you may want to listen to, maybe not even just on my podcast, other podcasts too, as well as some tips, tricks, habits that we're installing that month, things that we're wanting to learn that month, recipes, tools, products, all of the things. I just want to make it a little hub for you guys to have this like monthly check-in, and it'll be right before the first of a new month. So that way you guys can use this as you're planning out a new month, okay? And speaking of that, I'm going to probably reference a few episodes that we've done in the past year throughout this episode. So if you're looking on how to plan a new month, especially because literally September starts in just a couple days, if you're listening to this when it first comes out. And so go listen to the episode about how to plan your month because it's super helpful. There's so many great resources. We're also doing, this is fun, digital planners. We're selling those on the Inspired Lady website. So these are planners that you can either print off or just like use on a iPad, or maybe if you have like a touchscreen laptop or something, and plan out your day. They're so helpful. I have Bible study kit ones. I have weekly planners. I have meal planners. I have literally all the planners, and I use these to keep my life in check. And so you guys can do it too. We also are pre-ordering the printed notepads as well. Kind of want to test the water with that one, and I didn't want to like order a bunch if you guys were all going to be like, ew, we hate these. But I don't think you will because I love them, and guys, we're like the same person, okay? Like we love the same things, and it makes me happy. So I have these printed notepads. I literally love them so much. Oh my gosh, I have those little ASMR for you. But they're so fun. And kind of tying it all together, then we are running a giveaway on the Instagram page. So you can go to the Instagram account, and it's not that hard to enter. I'm not making it like crazy where you have to like post about it or anything like that. I honestly just want to equip you, and we're giving away 3 notebooks. So there's gonna be 3 winners. And it's just a little way to get you guys excited about this new season of Inspired Lady, where we're headed, where we're going. And I'm just so happy. I'm really honestly so happy and excited. You guys are here. It's so fun. So, with that, then, new season, I also want to give a little update. We're in the new house. This is my first episode recording in the new house. Lots of things have changed with the recording space, and I'm just so excited about it. One of the things that was really important to me in the new space was kind of finding a home office that was going to be well lit and give me just, I don't know, the area I need to do what I love to do well. And that's exactly what this house has. So we have these stunning windows in here. I've got some hanging plants. I've got all the neutrals as always, but then there's also this recording space where we're talking right now. So if you are on Spotify, say hello in the video, but also if you're on YouTube, you can check it out. If not, no worries. You're not, it's not like you're missing everything. It's okay. So, all that being said, there's just so much going on, and I just feel so honored to be going through this season with you guys and getting to share about it. And I'm so happy. But you know that I'm not just gonna sit here and jabber on about all the fun things that we've done. No, 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 no. We're gonna talk about how to change your life in a year and literally starting this process now, okay? And obviously, this ties in really well with our 1 year celebration. But even if we weren't celebrating 1 year of Inspired Lady, I feel like I would want to do this episode because looking back at my personal life a year ago, I feel like I hardly even recognize where I was. And I feel like that every year. So usually I do this around my birthday time. I love to kind of reflect and look at the past year and see where I was, where I wanted to be, and then where I ended up. And I love to do that. But I also think that something about the idea of school starting, that school season, even though I'm not in school this year, this is my first full year where I'm like not going to be in school. Um, I just feel like it's a good time to reflect on where you're at, goals, things like that. And it's just a sweet season to, I don't know, just see where you're going, okay? So, how to change your life in 1 year. I think a lot of that starts with looking back where you were a year ago. So, to give you an example, a year ago, my husband and I had just returned from a very busy summer. He was at Army things. I was living in Atlanta for the summer. And at the same time, though, we had just gotten back from our first international trip to Europe, and we were in like 12 countries in like 14 days. It was insane, but it was so fun, okay? And we had just moved into our new apartment. There was a lot of chaos with that because the apartment they showed us, which is the one we had been told we were going to move into, they changed it and we moved into a different apartment. And the apartment did not have good lighting. And that sounds so silly, but when so much of my job is filming and sharing my life, it was really took a toll on me personally to not have a space that I felt was worthy of being shown. And not that everything has to be super aesthetic, but we had chosen that apartment because we thought we were getting like a good space for me to work from home. And since I work from home, I podcast from home, a lot of what I do is in the space we live. So I was really struggling because it was so dark all the time. So, so dark. And I think it really led to me feeling a little bit more defeated in a lot of ways. Um, and it was like a harder season. I was starting my last year of a master's degree. Matt was still getting his bachelor's degree. He had another semester to get his bachelor's degree. And I was sitting with my parents right before I left. And I remember like kind of starting to cry a little bit at the table and saying, I don't understand how people afford houses. I don't understand how people like live these lives that cost all this money. How do people do this? Like, I'm so confused. I'm so lost. We didn't know what Matt was going to do for a career. We were very stressed about that. He really didn't want to keep doing like these cold call sales. Obviously he was finishing up his bachelor's. It was just a really weird season of feeling so unhinged and just a lot of unknowns. We had a lot of really big international trips coming up, so it was hard to find a routine because we were in Israel and then we were in Canada and Alaska, and then I was back in Europe. I traveled a lot for work that year, and it's just been a lot. And all of it has been so, so fun in many ways, but I don't know. It was just a lot to try to process where I was last year and compare it to where I am now, where I'm sitting in our brand new home that we built and designed, and I get to hang out on this podcast that was at that point still kind of just like a spark that was about to inflame. I don't know. It was interesting. And I think a lot of how my life has changed in the past year was adopting these principles that I'm going to share kind of with you guys, and just how we took it to the next level, okay? And it's all about moving the needle. And so let's get into the tips and tricks to how to change your life in a year, because I have seen a drastic change in my life over the past year. So, first of all, I want to say that this year long experience, right? What was so beautiful about it is it wasn't changing my life overnight or in a week or even a month, because so many times we start these changes or these new habits and we aren't able to sustain them because we try to change our entire lives instead of doing incrementally. And what we're doing is we're taking this version of ourselves, the current version, so the Belle you see right now. And if I say, I want to be a marathon runner, and tomorrow I go try to run a marathon, my current body can't handle that change, right? So you have to build up to who you want to be. You can't just try to force yourself into a mold because you don't fit that right now. And it's just been such an interesting concept to really do this like 1% better. I love the mindset of 1% better. It's something I truly try to live by. It's one of my principles, is that I don't need to be 100% different of a person or have these massive goals. Rather, I can be 1% better. And what you can do with this then is every day doesn't need to look perfect how you envision the person a year from now lives, but rather you're just taking a little step towards that person or towards that goal. So 1%, you're just trying to get 1% closer. And I think it's really cool. So obviously, the math does not math here, but when you have this mindset, in a year from now, when you start this, you're going to be 365%, actually, it's a leap year, 366% better than you were right now, because every day you just moved the needle just a little bit. You're just taking small steps instead of trying to take these massive strides when you're still working with your little legs, okay? You still got little legs, so don't take those massive strides yet. And it's a slow implementation, and it's really going to help. There's no pressure about this, but I think you'll be shocked with how much changes in a year. I think looking back at your own life, you'll be shocked at how much changes in a year. And that's because you chose to take steps and you chose to continue moving forward. Even failures, you were failing forward. You know what I mean? And that's our goal, okay? So that's the mindset we're moving into. So my first step is actually going to be something that I would love for you guys to do either today or tomorrow or really, really soon, okay? I want you to just set a timer on your phone for 30 minutes, literally 30 minutes, okay? And you're going to sit with a blank sheet of paper, not a computer, nope, sheet of paper with a pen, not a pencil, because we're not erasing. And I just want you to kind of like envision who you love to be. Not necessarily in a year, but just in life. Who do you want to be? What kind of traits do you want to have? What kind of morals do you have? What kind of family relationships do you have? How strong are your relationships? What do your friendships look like? What does your career look like? Are you more educated? Did you go back to school? Did you further your education? Or maybe you just are happy where you are right now with that? Like, where are you in life? And kind of what are your features? What do you do? What do your routines look like? Are you someone who works out a lot? Do you have a lot of muscle mass? Or maybe you love to do Pilates in this dream future? Just kind of like start making a list. It doesn't need to be in any sort of order, anything like that. It's messy, messy brain dump. And again, you're using pen because you're not erasing things. You can cross things out and move them over and stuff like that. But I want to see the way you design the future that you want to have, okay? And like this can be done in 30 minutes. It's not supposed to be in depth. You guys know at New Year's Day, my birthday, I love a good in-depth breakdown. But this is just kind of a recalibration of who do you want to be? Has that changed over the last few months? Which it can evolve. You just because at the age of 20 you decide you want to look like this, and at the age of 30 you're like, oh shoot, I don't look like that. Well, maybe you evolved, maybe you changed, maybe you realized 20-year-old you didn't know what you wanted, right? So I don't know, guys. I just feel like having this on paper and in front of you and really like connecting dots and circling things and Xing things out will help you define your goals moving forward, okay? So, for example, let's say that you write down that your person, is healthy. They have a healthy body. They're not worried about their heart. They're not worried about their blood sugar levels. They're not worried about, weight problems or anything like that. They're just healthy. They don't look a certain way maybe, but they're just healthy. Well, what does that mean your person's doing? They're probably moving their body daily, most likely, and they're probably having really nutritious foods. Okay, well, now you know if I want to actually be this person someday, these are steps I should maybe implement. If their career is blossoming and they have their own business and they're employing 30 people and all this stuff, well, what does that look like? What are they doing in their day-to-day lives to do that? Probably waking up earlier, they're probably taking more meetings. Like, you just have these steps. So as you begin to look at these characteristics, really break down what that practically looks like in the day. And you'll start to see this list form of things that you really want to do, okay? And to help you out with this, I made a list of things that I think will be really helpful for you to kind of start implementing over the next year to see yourself become the person you want. Because I do think that there are features that we all want in our future selves. Like I said, the healthy body, stable careers, healthy relationships, strong faith. You know what I mean? These aspects of who we are. And it probably doesn't vary too much from all of us. The details will, but those core things probably pretty similar, okay? So these are some things that I would say you can start today to see this massive change in who you are a year from now, okay? So first of all, I think that walking has literally changed my life in a certain way, okay? I think that going on a morning walk, for me it's morning, sometimes evening too, he's helped me so much for a lot of reasons, not just the fresh air. It is a form of exercise, but it's low impact, so I don't feel like my knees hurt afterwards. I have volleyball injuries, so it's very low impact. It also helps, literally, like the stupidest thing, like my dog has less energy throughout the day, so I can better focus and he's not trying to get my attention to play. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just helped so much being in the fresh air. I get to listen to my podcast uninterrupted, or sometimes I've been taking silent walks and I just won't have anything in my ears. I'll still wear my headphones just because they're a good excuse if, some guy starts trying to catcall. You just pretend you can't hear. That's what I do. Anyways, that's so bad, but it's true. Put my hand on my pepper spray and I pretend I can't hear anything. But these silent walks allow me to just kind of reflect and think about things that maybe I wasn't thinking about before. There's this quote, I forget who said it, but it said, "Distraction is the killer of all creative production." And I want to be a creative person. I want to show up for you guys in creative ways. I want to constantly be coming up with new ideas. And so not always do I need to be filling my mind or, having a distraction in front of me, like, TV or a book even, or, a podcast. Like, even though they're healthy for me, sometimes it's good for me to be by myself and just thinking through problems or future dreams. So I think these walks have been super helpful. And I would just encourage you, like, just go on a walk a day. It's not that hard. They can be kind of short. They don't have to be super long. And honestly, once you're going, I find for me, I'm always like, oh, I'll go a little further. I'm enjoying this time. And so if you started off kind of like that 1% better mindset where you think, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go on a walk down the cul-de-sac or around the street or whatever. And you start that off and you're like, I'll go a little further. I'll go a little further. And you're just kind of like building upon what you've already done. You're putting no pressure on yourself and you're just kind of going with the flow. I don't know. So I think the walks are so helpful and they're such a small, easy change that you can make that moves your body. And also whenever I go on these walks, I always come home and I crave a workout more. I know that sounds probably a little crazy, but I really do. I always think about like, as I'm like coming in the door and I'm locking up and stuff like that, I sit there and I'm like, I kind of want to go lift some heavy weights, which is crazy. So I just feel like moving your body is so healthy. And I mean, that's not my feeling. That's facts. And a walk is a great place to start. Okay. Next, this one's so interesting. Okay. And you're going to hear it a lot, but let me break it down. Pick a time to wake up every single morning and just do it. Okay. So I read the 5 a.m. club. I got so freaking inspired. I decided cold turkey. It started waking up at 5 a.m. every single day with my husband. And I did this for over a month, up until last week. And here's what I discovered. I am so bored in the morning at 5 a.m. A lot of what I do kind of has to wait until the lights are like, not the lights, like the sun is up, because I film a lot of what I'm doing for like routine videos and I love to do that. And also I'm just happier when the sun's up. I also am not 100% comfortable going on walks when the sun's not up. So I was literally like sitting there bored out of my mind at 5 a.m. And then I was just getting angry because I was tired. So what I've discovered for myself is that 6 a.m. is actually the perfect time because I wake up, I can do my Bible study. I'm still up before the sun and I do my Bible study. I do a little like meditation. I've been doing 2-minute meditations. Super fun. I love it. And then what I'll do is I'll go on a walk and it's during sunrise. So it's really peaceful. It's really sweet. The lights are on. The sun is up. I don't feel nervous walking around necessarily. And I just feel like it's more sustainable for where I'm at in this season of life. And then I come home, get ready, make my breakfast, clean up a little bit, make the bed, do all the things. And I'm ready to start work at 8 a.m. So I had to adjust that time of what actually worked for me. Even though 5 a.m. was like ideal for so many people, like, you hear about the 5 a.m. club and you read that book, or, all the go getters wake up at 5 a.m. I didn't have anything to do. I could jump on and start answering emails, but I wanted to make sure that I was going to be a creative person during the day, not a reactive person. And when you wake up and the first thing you do is react to emails or phone calls or texts you missed, you're setting yourself up to be at other people's beck and call all day. And I don't want to do that. I want my mornings for myself. So I really won't answer any messages until at least like 7:30. And I love that because before I was sleeping until 7:30 anyways. So pick a time, whatever works for you, truly what works for you in your routine and helps you be productive, and wake up at that time every single day. Okay. And this is a challenge. I get that. But in the 5 a.m. book, one thing that they said was part-time commitment gets part-time results. And I don't know, I feel like, yes, we have a year to change our lives, right, in this conversation, but I don't want to be a part-time result getter. I want to be a full-time result getter. I want to start seeing these changes in my life, and I want to start really being able to implement these things and notice a change. And so I wake up at 6 a.m. every day, Sundays, Saturdays, all the days. And it really is helpful. Matt is doing the same thing, except he is sticking with 7 or 5 a.m. So he has been doing 5 a.m. now for, a month and a half, and he's been killing it. And it works so well for his routine because he does his full, weighted workout in the morning. And that's just, see, it's different for each person. I do my workouts, like the weighted workouts, where I lift weights and do all that in the afternoon after work because I always need a little break. So all that being said, start your day off being disciplined. Set a time to wake up and put your alarm as far away from you as possible. So across the bedroom with a water next to it. So I literally have to stand up, turn off my alarm, and then I just pick up my water and start drinking. Easy. And then I'm up and I go do my Bible study. Next, I really do think that this has helped a lot. The last few weeks has been a lot of like eating out just because we didn't have a fridge and we were moving and all this stuff. But something that was said in a previous podcast episode, it's actually Molly Mason's nutritionist episode. If you want to go back and listen, hear more about this, one of my favorite episodes. It's mind-blowing because I asked, I was like, what kind of diets should we follow? Like, there's just so much information. And she gave one of those pieces of advice that's just like stuck in my brain. You know how little things will stick with you. And this was one of them. She said, if it came from earth, if it came from God's creation, all of that, try to eat more of it versus like processed foods. So that means more whole foods, fruits, vegetables, meats, grains that are whole instead of like really processed foods. And that just has stuck with me so much, and I've loved it. And so even when I'm eating out, I try to stick with this rule. I really do. I love to do the salads at Chick-fil-A and getting the Chipotle bowls and things like that, and really sticking with foods that are less processed. Now, obviously, when you're eating fast food, it's still processed. I recognize that. But I was just in this time frame where we didn't have a fridge. We didn't have access to a lot of like fresh food in the house. But now that we do, we've been meal planning, and I try to keep that in the back of my mind is anytime I'm planning a meal or anytime I'm, picking a snack, what is the most holistic food that I can eat? What came from the earth? What came from the ground versus a factory, right? And obviously this is not a perfect process. There's so many like gray areas and things like that, like bread, you know what I mean? Like obviously came from like a factory or a bakery, but you can still get it with, whole wheats and things like that. I love sourdough bread. That's what I've been obsessed with lately. Anyways, just having on the back of your mindset as you move forward of, in a year, if you've chosen to switch your mindset with eating with just towards what came from the earth, what's something that God made versus man-made. And I don't know, I've felt better about everything. I felt better about what I'm eating, what I'm putting in my body. And again, it's not a perfect process, but it's really helped, okay? Next, I recently talked about this in a podcast episode. So again, if you want more details, go listen to the it's like who is influencing you or who is your core 5 people. I forget what I called it. But anyways, it's I mean, audit who's in your life, audit who's influencing you, and audit who you're following on social media and what podcasts you're listening to. Even what music you're listening to. Just who has a voice in your life and what are those voices saying? Are they building you up? Are they building your relationships up? Are they helping you live a healthier lifestyle? Or are they maybe a little bit more toxic? Are they just kind of filling your brain with nothingness? I think that's a lot of stuff that I personally noticed on like Instagram and stuff of what I was following. And if you're following someone that you don't necessarily love, but you feel like you have to keep following them, I am such a fan of the mute button, guys. I mute so many accounts. So instead of blocking them, you click the same button and you can mute them. None of their posts will pop up, none of their stories will pop up. It's so helpful. And I get more control over what's coming on my feed. And it's just so helpful, guys. Honestly, could not suggest it enough. And just really audit who in your life needs more attention. Like, are there any significant others or partners or spouses that you need to really like love on and be more intentional and grow that relationship? Friendships. Who are your core friendships and how does that look? Like, this is so crazy for me to think about. So a year ago, I had maybe one good friend in Texas, maybe one. And it was just lonelier, you know what I mean? And in this past year, I've chosen one of my goals was to develop really good friendships. And I have the sweetest group of girls that I just get loved on and I get to love on them. And I'm so grateful for each of them. We're all just in similar walks of life. Actually, you know what? This is so funny. They're all pregnant right now, except for the ones who already had their babies. So I'm a little behind, but that's okay. And it's so sweet to get to be in this life with them and just do life with them. We're also leading small groups to our church now, and it's just been so stinking fun. And I've loved it. I've gotten a mentor, that's new too. So now I'm being mentored by someone, and I've just really started diving into relationships that really feed my soul, and I'm allowed to like kind of just I don't want to say feed them back because it sounds like cocky, like I'm offering them so much, but also like just loving on them wherever they're at. And there's that balance. So I knew I wanted better friendships, so I started diving into it. And I think that you can do something similar. Figure out the friendships, the relationships, even the social media ones that you're currently involved in. Which ones are good, which ones are bad, and really start to fine tune and edit that, okay? Next, I don't want to get too into money, but something that helped a lot is tracking money, okay? Figuring out where your money is going. I'm not necessarily saying that you have to budget or invest or start, paying off all your debt right now, but something small that you can start with right now that you will see a change with is tracking your money. And this is a natural change because when you start being able to give your money a name, so every dollar that comes in, you should be able to give it a name. So let's say I got $5 from a brand collab and I went to go get coffee. Great. That $5, it had a name on it and it was called Starbucks in the new fall drinks. Dang it, I want a fall drink now. Oh, darn it, I shouldn't have said anything. Oh, well, okay. But if you give your money a name, it's really interesting to see. So, like, I do this now with Matt, and it's so funny because we've caught ourselves last November. This is disgusting. Last November, we spent like $500 going out to eat, and we never noticed, you know what I mean? Because it was just like, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? Oh, let's go out. And the next thing we knew, $500 in 1 month had been spent on going out to eat. Granted, our grocery bill was a lot lower, but we were just throwing money away. And because we started tracking our money, we were able to start going, okay, we shouldn't be doing that. Let's cut back on that. And now we had an extra $500 and it allowed us to start looking into budgets. And it allowed that snowballed into starting to look into investments and what we wanted to be investing in. So it just kind of snowballs over time. But start off by tracking your money. Where are you spending all your money? Because you're spending it all. It's so funny. I always I get some comments on social media, especially like, I am younger, 21, and people will be like, you must make so much money and all this stuff. And it's like, honestly, I don't. I work for a nonprofit, guys. I literally work for a nonprofit ministry, and I'm not like bringing in a ton of dough. And it's more so how you spend your money, and you have to get real smart with it. And that all starts by knowing what you're currently spending your money on and what you can kind of kick to the curb. Okay, I've got two more for you. One, um, this this has been so pivotal for me. I have invested so much in listening and reading books. This has been so huge. I have loved every single moment of it. And I get to hear from different perspectives. I get to hear from people who know things better. Okay, so this is what I like to say. There are experts in the world, and there are people who know what they are talking about. And I am not an expert in most things. Okay, so the same way that if I was sick with something very dramatic, I would go to an expert in that field. Let's say it was my throat. Let's say my throat had a horrible disease in it. I would go to one of those ears, nose, throat doctors, right? I would go to an expert in that field. And then you can even like nicher. I don't know if that's a word, but you can go more niche and you can go to like more experts and you can just fine tune it until they're like, I am an expert on this cell in your body. That's not true, but you get what I'm saying. Okay. So for things like even topics in faith, there are experts in certain books of the Bible. There are experts in certain topics. And that was so interesting to me, and something I learned in college is that there are people who choose to study like one book of the Bible, like literally their entire lives. And one of my professors, she had, and her entire PhD was just in the book of Psalm. And not just Psalm, like a few of them. And she's an expert in that. So when she writes her book about Psalm, who am I going to read? I'm going to go read her book about Psalm. Like, yes, I can read the Bible myself and I can learn things. And, the Holy Spirit 100% illuminates certain things. But I have the ability to literally go read this book from someone who has spent their entire life studying it. So I've just been trying to find experts on everything and really dive into what they're saying with discernment. Not everyone's always right. Even if you're an expert, does not make you right. But really trying to lean into what does it look like to rely on other people and to constantly be in that state of school. Like I said, my master's is done. And so I'm no longer in school, but I want to keep learning. I want to keep learning about my body. I want to keep learning about my faith. I want to learn more about my mind and just diving into that. So learning to love reading and even audiobooks or podcasts from these experts has been so helpful. And I feel like it's really helped me be better at this role too, of if you don't have time to maybe sit down and read all these books, I can share the PowerPoint with you. You know what I mean? I can share the spark notes, that's the word I was looking for, of what we're talking about and what the experts are saying. So it's just really helpful. And I think if you have the resources, it's really cool to start doing. And well, actually, I already kind of talked about this. So I guess my last one's kind of moot. But I was going to say that we should carve out relationship time, but I already talked about that. And I do think that what I wanted to touch on with this one is that your relationship with God can look so different from what it does right now. Okay. It's shocking to me because this is a faith-based podcast. How many people listen to this podcast and like y'all like you don't maybe believe in God, or like that's not a priority to you right now. And like, honestly, go you for still listening. I love you. But here's the thing. So does God. Like, God loves you so much, and your relationship with him can look so different a year from now. And I think when we think about the fact that it's a relationship with the Creator, with the Lord, it can feel overwhelming. And it's the same concept. It does not need to be overwhelming. Start off by listening to some worship music. Start off by, just choosing to read a couple chapters in the Bible, or, getting a daily grace study and just kind of working your way through it. I'm currently going through the one that's on Colossians, and it's so beautiful. It's so good. I love Colossians. It talks all about who Jesus is and why Jesus is the King of Kings and why we should follow him and love him. And so anyways, I just want to encourage you that your relationship with God can look so different in a year. And I feel so much stronger in my faith recently because I've taken time to be mentored. I've taken time to be more dedicated and disciplined in my personal studies. I've switched a lot of it to worship music. I've been reading books by experts who know what they're talking about. And I don't know, every part of you can look so different in a year, every single part. And here's the golden ticket though, the golden ticket of advice. You have to start now. If you want to look completely different, and not like physically, but if you want your entire life to be completely different in a year, or to be more enhanced, or to be better in a year, you got to start taking those steps now. Because that's the one downfall, is that it's easy to push off these goals because it's a year away. But don't do that, okay? Stay strong, and you won't even recognize yourself in a year if you go all in. And I know you have that capability because you're so cool. And just thank you so much for listening to this 1-year celebration with me. I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you. And be sure to head to Instagram and anywhere else that you want to check in. My Instagram, the Inspired Lady Instagram, my TikTok, YouTube, all the places. Say hi, celebrate with me, enter the giveaway, check out the website, do all the things, because it is 1 year of Inspired Lady and we are going all out for these celebrations, okay? Love you lots.